Hello, this is Jeremy Arney, interim leader of the Canadian Action Party, talking to you today on what I think is Thursday, the 30th of July 2015. And the news is out today that Mr. Harper is going to be calling the longest campaign in Canadian history. Longest, biggest, worst, most desperate, whatever those words most apply to Mr. Harper, he's now doing it again. So for the next 2 and a bit months, 74 days actually, you can expect to be bombarded with advertisements that cut apart everybody with this lie about the Conservative Party. You're going to be so bored, you're going to be so upset, you're going to not want to watch even the news or sports or anything, because he has so much money to spend. He's going to bombard you with this stuff. So what's the best way to approach this? Okay, well, I'm making this video really not so much for the people who've already made up their mind which way they're going to vote, or for the 1 or 2% who've haven't quite decided which particular corporate party they want to vote for yet. This video really isn't for you. This video is for the fans of the smaller parties, or better yet, it's for those 40% of the Canadians who didn't vote last time round. And maybe it's a higher percentage now, who are so bored and turned off by the antics of our corporate or union politicians that they have no desire to vote. Well, okay, I understand that completely, but there is a solution, you know. There is a solution. 40% of people didn't vote last year. 29% voted for Mr. Harper, and he got a majority. So what would happen if 40% of you who've already decided you don't want to vote changed your minds and voted for small party independent candidates who will represent you? Not the big boys. They're not going to represent you. Never have, never will. So you are wasting your vote going for them. But what would happen if we got 40% of you? That could be 120 odd independent candidates in a 338 member of Parliament House. You know, we would have the balance of power on a minority government, which I believe this is what we're going to get this next time around anyway. But the balance of power by people who represent you, who don't represent big oil, they don't represent insurance companies, they don't represent anyone but you. Yes, they'll have their party ideologies that they will work on, and rightly so. And if those party ideologies, which you're supporting by voting for them, do not get met in the upcoming legislation, that legislation will not pass, because it simply will not be allowed to pass. So what does this mean? It means in essence that if we could get the balance of power by independent small party candidates, the major parties would have to pay attention to what the people of Canada want. Right now they don't. The only time they're paying attention to you is right now, because they want your vote. They're advertising like crazy to get your vote, because that's what they want. As soon as the election's over, you're history. For another 4 years, you don't matter. But what if you did matter? What if you had somebody in the House of Commons who was there all the time watching out for you? You would matter. So those who say, well, I'm not going to vote because it's a waste of my time and it's a waste of a vote, it's not going to make any difference. Think about this, please. It could make a difference. If we can get 80 or 100 independent and or small party candidates from all across the sphere, whether they be rhinoceros, marijuana, Marxist-Leninists, libertarians, or whatever, even libertarians, Christian heritage, it doesn't matter. Those are the people who are going to help rescue Canada from non-ending political BS and spiraling down into this huge debt, no jobs, no respect, because it doesn't really matter what you hear the big parties say. They have to pay for everything. And have they come up with satisfactory ways of paying for everything that you agree with? No. But we do, the small parties do, all of us. All of the small parties, and you can check them all out on the Canadian Action, on the Elections Canada website. You can check them all out. Every one but one of them agrees with the Canadian Action Party and Rocco Gulati. the Bank of Canada must come back to be reused to finance the country's needs at minimum interest, and we get a dividend from whatever is left over from that interest. They all agree on that. So now, with this COMA lawsuit coming up, and with enough independent members in the House of Commons who believe that the Bank of Canada should be used, we start to dig ourselves out of this gigantic hole we're in. In 2006, our national debt was $560 billion. Today, according to the nationaldebtclock.org, it stands at just over $1 trillion. $1 trillion. That's down nearly doubled in 9 years. We could go on and on and on like this. We can never pay it back at that rate because we don't have the ability. Unless income tax is quadrupled, unless business tax is quintupled, unless every tax that you can think of goes up and up and up, we can't even take care of the interest on that at present rate. And let's face it, unemployment is getting more and more, therefore less and less people are working and paying taxes. So contrary to the belief that we have the money coming in, we've got less money coming in. And it doesn't matter which party it is that gets in of the major parties, they don't have platforms that I've seen that enable them to pay for the interest, the compounding interest on top of that interest on our national debt. But the small parties, with the exception of the Libertarians, they all believe that the Bank of Canada should be used to solve that one particular problem. And that is our major problem. Our second major problem is sovereignty. And without an independent voice in the House of Commons, we will never get sovereignty back. We'll never be independent from what the corporations want us to do. I know you've heard enough about corporations over the years. You've heard me talking about it, how they're stealing everything. Well, they are, through all these trade deals. TPP that's coming up, fast-tracking it through as quickly as possible. You know, there used to be a time when no trade deals could be done in this country without them being presented to Parliament, without Parliament ratifying them, and without them going in front of the provinces. Now, everything's in secret, and it's passed and signed, and then it's presented to Parliament years later as a done deal. And Parliament has, because it's a rubber stamp now, rubber stamps it through. But where do you, the people, who are involved in this trade, where are you involved in this process? Does your representative have a chance to talk about it before it's signed? Nope. Is that legal? Well, I heard Rocco Galati, who's a specialist in the Constitution, say that no, it's not, because the Constitution says, and I'll be truthful, I haven't found where he says it, but I believe Rocco, he's found it somewhere, says that any trade deal must be ratified by Parliament and the provinces prior to signing. That means that every trade deal since 2006 is illegal. Half our problem solved right there. Without those trade deals holding us back, we can actually talk trade to countries, and we can get the economy going again by trading, not by sitting back, cowering, waiting for the next attack by some corporation that didn't figure out they got enough money from their deal with us, or they couldn't make a deal, therefore they'd lost profits. $250,000 to Lone Pine Power, a Calgary outfit. $500,000 to Eli Lilly because we wouldn't agree to them dumping untested drugs on our market. We pay this. Doesn't go before the courts. It goes before a tribunal. It's in there in all of these deals. It's called the Investor Protection Clause. Started off with free trade and it's gone on. NAFTA, all of them, they all have it. TPP has it on steroids. TPP is such that the corporations can actually determine what laws we can bring in by saying, if you bring that law in, we will attack you. If you bring that regulation in, we will attack you. So it would cost us a huge amount of money just to bring in that regulation. And it would be over and over and over again that we are attacked on that same law or regulation. In other words, we lose our ability to make our own laws. Now, is that what you want? I don't. Is that what you want for your children? I don't. How about your grandchildren? You know, just making this video, I am making it in dissent. And according to Stephen Blaney, if you express dissent, you can expect to face the full force of the law. So in making this video and talking to you, in my dissent, an encouragement to you to do something which you can legally do, but it's dissenting against the government, you too can be in bad shape. Bill C-51. It's in force, people. although it's under challenge, it's in force. Somebody up in the north part of BC put on a mask and dissented, and he's dead. There are no questions asked here. Where was the authority, the judicial authority to kill this man? And where's the aftermath of this? As far as I know, the policeman's basically been exonerated because he had a mask on. Well, is this Canada? Is this the United States? Is this some republic in South Africa somewhere, or some island somewhere where someone's got the power to be almighty? No, it's not. It's Canada. Why have we let it get this far? So, by now, probably half of you are tuned out. Well, that's okay. But I hope you got the message that 40% of you who didn't vote in the last election, those are the ones who can make the difference in this election. You're the ones, you 40%ers, who say, nah, don't want to, can't be bothered, can't vote for any of those people, can't even hold my nose and vote Conservative. Fine, don't. Don't hold your nose. Go in there and vote for someone who will represent you. A small party, an independent member, doesn't really matter. Anything but the major four. If you really must hold your nose and vote for Green, okay. Because they can also be part of the balance of power. But this is the important thing that we must have in our Parliament. We must have in the House of Commons a balance of power that represents the people, not the corporate interest, not the union interest, not the banking interest, not the media interest, not the personal interests of the MPs who are running the country, but you, the people of Canada. And the only people who can do that are you, the people of Canada. So I'm asking you, please, don't walk away from this election. Embrace it as an opportunity for you to be there now in October for your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I've got 2 great-grandchildren. That's why I'm doing this. Take the plunge. Vote for someone completely off the wall, off the grid. They're not really off the grid and they're not really off the wall, but they're off your radar because you haven't been allowed to listen to their message. If their name is on the ballot, vote for them, please. Thank you very much. And let's hope that on October the 19th, we have a balance of power that will control and help Canada to get back to where she should be, a free, independent, self-thinking nation that the world will accept and say, welcome back, Canada. It's up to you. Thank you very much.